Dr. Sam Goo to come and talk to us about his new discovery.
Thank you. I'd like to ask you about the, do you believe the regeneration of pancreatic beta cells destroyed? Possible, not possible? What do you think?
These are Parkinson's.
Yeah, maybe today it'll be kind of for the diabetologists or endocrinologists, maybe great news for the kind of breakthrough for the diabetic patients regarding the T1DN and T2DN. Actually, I studied these results not from the medical side, just for the supplement for food. The original ingredient of DND is the edible insect. Do you know the edible insect? We can eat the insect as sustainable proteins. So, did you hear about it?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. And then for the research, DND is the abbreviation of diabetes and dietary as supplement for food. And here I use three materials of DND: DND1, DND2, and DND3. DND1 is the actually bimaculatus, kind of crickets. We call it as crickets, edible insects. And the DND2 is for the vegetarian or whole grains. And then DND3 is combination of DND1 and DND2 for consumption of as food. So it showed a great result for all together. DND1, 2, 3 altogether showed a good result to regenerate the beta cells. So last year it was maybe around before June. We announced it was successful to regenerate the pancreatic beta cells. And then this year, maybe this month, will be published on the Journal of Food Science and Nutrition. So I got the decision letter to be published. So in a sense, maybe some years later, DND can be kind of a game changer, because the medication for T2DN, for the insulin injections, whatever the case of the long-term, long-acting or rapid-acting or short-acting, whatever insulin diabetic patients take, it doesn't matter any longer with the DND, because the experiments show the every result from the C-peptide or insulin secretion and HbA1c level or whatever the biomarkers. And then even the electronic insulin pump, the patients eliminated less than 2 years. So to eliminate the injection pump or the rapid acting or the long acting 24 hours long acting insulin injections, it didn't take more than 2 years, nearly 1.5 years. So I think it will be kind of breakthrough for the diabetic patients all in the world. And then, as you know, this is the IDF reported in 2018. Now more than 400 million people, and then in 2040 it will be more than 642 million people will have the diabetes. So I don't know this here UAE how many population what percentage of the population have the diabetes. In Korea we have 10%. Our population is 50,000, and then nearly more than 5 million people have the T1DN and T2DN. Of the diabetes, nearly 10% are T1DN. But I think during my research, I believe if I can overcome the T1DN, then T2DN is kind of nothing, because if I can block diabetic complications. I think it will be kind of flu. So that's why I focus on the T1DM in Korea. And then for the experiments of regeneration of beta cells destroyed, we both conducted animal trials and human trials too. And here today I will announce about the T2DM because T2DM was not less than but the T1DM is took longer than 1.5 years. So I have some clinical data here, and then the animal models. And then for the animal to make the diabetic rats, we use the streptozotocin, and then 14 groups of 180 rats were used. So every experiments were conducted under the IACUC and then with ILB and CRO. It was these experiments was conducted by the AAA-LIC, Jeonbuk National University in South Korea. So for the experiments, and then 9 weeks of rats were used, 180 rats, and then the experiment duration was taken 1 year from ILB approval. And then the materials, we called it as DND. It is the representing edible insects. And of course the whole grains. Whole grains are, maybe you will hear about that, the whole grains. Every grains quite effective for lowering the FBG or PP2. So I combine 3 altogether, the materials, to make the quite effective to the diabetic patient without any kinds of hypoglycemia. And then for the experiments, and then the rats were fed orally. And then the model was T1DM. And then as you see, we changed the dosages. So this shows it is quite dosage dependent. So we used a lower level of, low amount of food as a supplement, and the middle and the higher. So a higher level of supplements quite effective compared to the lower. So, and then grouping here for the normal groups, IP injection and the diabetes, and then STG, it was the 65 milligram per kg, and then diabetes groups with the GB. GB is the Gryllus bimaculatus. That's the edible insects, and then we use it as powder. So powder feeding like this way, and then GB powder, and then streptozotocin injection, IP injection, and then the orally 4 weeks of experiments, and then after 4 weeks later, and then HbA1c, C-peptide, insulin secretion, and histological analysis, and side effects, especially for liver and the kidney, were analyzed. And we the criteria for choosing the rats as diabetes, it was more than 300 BG. So the fundamental, the basic. This is for DND1. This is DND2, DND3. As I said, DND1 is the Gryllus bimaculatus, edible insect. DND2 is whole grains, combination of grains, and then DND3 is the DND1 plus and DND2. For the body weight, and you see, those are normal groups of rats. But here, the beagle, and it's getting lower, body weight is getting lower, but this is dosages 1.63, and then more than double, like this, and getting here after 2 weeks later, it's getting higher compared to those beagles, see? And then DND2 is the same one. Normal groups are getting higher the body weight, But with diabetes, rats are decreasing their body weight like this. But the diagram show a big difference here and here, like this way. This is DN2, and then DN3. Also increasing the body weight, but compared to those non-diabetic groups, the vehicle is getting lower and lower. After 2 weeks later, nearly the same, or like this. So body weight is show the difference between non-diabetic and diabetic groups. And then now the food consumption. And the food, those are normal groups, DND1, DND2, DND3. Normal groups are consumed nearly the equal during our experiments, but the vehicle is, you see, the food intake is getting higher, you see. But our groups of DND1 to 3, those groups are is higher, but nearly the same here from the beginning, but getting lower. You see, like this. So compared to those non-diabetic groups, and they're quite big difference, like this one. So water intake and then food intake also show the big difference between diabetic group and the non-diabetic groups, especially diabetic groups with the DND. This is the water intake. You see here, and then you see vehicles, but normal, non-diabetic, but with the diabetic rats, the consumption of water is like this big difference. But with the DND, DND1, DND2, DND3, all three materials show the getting lower and lower the water intake compared to those vehicles like this. And then this is the pancreas weight, but it showed insignificant because our experiment duration was just 4 weeks. So during our experiments, it is, I could say, insignificant of the pancreas weight. But this is the fasting, you see. FBG is show the big difference. You see, a normal group, but with the diabetes and compared to those in the vehicles, from the beginning, DND1 has the same peak here. But with getting time goes on here, you see, like this way, getting lower and lower, big difference, big gaps between diabetic group and then diabetic with the DND and just the diabetic rats, vehicle groups, big difference like this. And then DND1, DND2, DND3 all together show the even the fasting glucose show the big difference. Now this is the IPGTT. As we so here, those are normal, but they are vehicles like this, but big difference like this. So you see the nearly peak is nearly 600, and then maybe 550, but those groups are slightly higher, 400. Like this one is maybe 350, like this, maybe 350. So big difference even the IPGTT. And then we check the ITT level here. As you see, those are normal, but with the vehicle groups, you could compare those big difference like this way. So here, the HbA1c level, you show the slight difference because I think in general, the HbA1c to measure this one, we need more than two months or 3 months. Just this is done within 4 weeks, so not a big difference. But here, this is control groups, and then this one is chapter Jotoshin group, and then this is DND1, DND2, DND3. But just 4 weeks of experiment duration, so not a big difference of the HbA1c level. But here, we can check the C-peptide and the insulin secretion level. Here, C-peptide, those are control groups, normal groups. And then this is the streptozotocin. And then this was DND1, DND2, DND3. You see, this shows quite dosage dependent. This is 1.63, and then this was 6.5, like this, getting higher, getting higher. So we go from the T1DM, or the destroy pancreatic beta cells, we can assume this. And then this one, insulin secretion. You see, those are controls. And then strepto-SCG level, those are DND1, DND2, DND3. So this show the quite dosage dependent, as you see, like this. So this one is very important for the diabetes world because it showed a great result of the regeneration of pancreatic beta cells destroyed. Here, those are normal groups. This is control, and then this is a higher level of DND1. This is higher level of DND2. We call it as a mix, the whole grains, and then those are DND1 and DND plus DND2. So, with this streptozotocin induced, the pancreatic beta cells destroy like this, from here, like this. But after 4 weeks, this is the, this is the lower level, lower dosage of DND, middle, and a higher dosage of DND. This is the DND1, this is the DND2, DND3. You see, lower level of DND1, like this, but they are getting larger, and after 4 weeks, this size. And the DND2, like this, you see the changing from the smaller one and the larger one, just 4 weeks. And then DND3 also showed a good result of the increase of the pancreatic beta cells, the size, I mean. And then this is the insulin secretion of these three pancreatic beta cells. So those are normal groups. After destroyed, like this way of insulin secretion, but DND1, DND2, DND3, lower, middle, higher. You see? Quite big difference, like this way. So we studied here, like this, 4 weeks later, like this way. So you see, this is the island area here, the control groups, and the streptozotocin. But you see, dosage dependent, DND1, DND2, DND3. The area is getting larger and larger. So here, I was very interested in the people. So we checked at the hospital, so I'll show you later after the animal models. And then even though we have good results, quite effective for the therapeutic for the diabetic models, we have to check first the side effects. So we checked the liver and kidney side effects from the DND1 and DND2, DND3. Here, the liver. So it is, as you see this, and it was negatively affected. So by the DND. So in a sense, it is very beneficial for the diabetic patients. And then this is also showing the kidney side effects. There are no signs of side effects at all. And then those are very complicated for me because I'm not from the medical side. I'm not a medical expert. I am the mechanical engineering oriented. So actually I work for the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, as a representative of South Korean government for 3 years. So I got every information about the edible insects under the UN. So I studied about the edible insects, and then that's the beginning to be here like this. So this one maybe should be explained by the diabetologists or endocrinologists, I think. As you see, but the basic one is those are control groups, and the SDG, and the DND1, DND lower, middle, higher level dosage of DND. And as you see, BCL2 is with the SDG is gone. But here, should be the same like this. You see? With the higher dosage of BCL2 is getting normalized. And then back to with the SDG like this, black, and then the white like this. And then click cascade 3. Here, this is for DND1, this is DND2, DND3. This should be like this, as you see. So the increase, decrease, and decrease. So it showed a good result for the every factors, how and why the DND is quite effective for therapeutic for the diabetic patients. Those are the same figures for, maybe you'll be curious for the diabetologists. Every MDs in Korea, the professors in our national university hospitals, MDs, it was unthinkable. How? That was the first question. So when I contact to the professors, 5 professors at the university, and then they were very suspicious about my results. They didn't believe this. Unthinkable, no way. But we don't research results, and then we analyze everything, every factors affecting to the diabetes, especially T1DM. And then after that, we recruited so many patients, real patients. So T1DM and T2DM. We classified T1DM and T2DM, more than 100 patients at 30 hospitals and clinic centers. So every data from the doctors. So like this. So it is a good biomarkers. Every medical doctors will be explained with those figures and the results. So from the animal trials, I could say the reduction of water and food intake, and of course the fasting blood glucose level, and the postprandial too. And the C-peptide and insulin secretion, we confirm those materials are really good and quite effective for curing the diabetes patients from the animal models. And then the histological analysis showed the good results of total islet area of increase, and then regeneration of destroyed beta cells, and then the recovery of insulin secretion. This is done from the animal models. And then also we try to get the data from the humans. So as I said, we recruited more than 100 patients, real patients, and the T1DM and T2DM we classified. And then electronic insulin pump, gone, less than 2 years. And then whatever types of insulins, Lentus or Tugel or Tresiba or whatever, Humulin or any kinds of medications. And if I explain about from the data, the T1DM patients in Korea, the patients, the T1DM patients are really younger age, 3 years old, 4 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old, 13, 19, 25 years old. When they diagnose the T1DM at the hospitals, their C-peptide level, can you guess? The worst case is the 0.02, below 0.02 level. 3 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old. Very complicated to say how. So when they are diagnosed at the hospital, their insulin, 24 hours insulin, 1 time a day is nearly 30 units. And then every meal, they got 10 units, 3 or 4 hours insulin. So totally That's average in Korea. Totally 60 units when they are diagnosed. Medication no, just insulin only. So they are suffered from the DNDM, and then they got the information about the DND, and then around the nation, and the people and the families gathered to the hospitals, and the doctors contact me, and then this is the case for, okay, why not? And then just one time at a dinner, just one time at a dinner, kind of alternative dinner. So we use the lower level of DND and middle, and the higher dosage of DND. Maximum was 50 gram. 50 gram, and then just water. And then mix it together. Or if they feel a little bit hungry, and then 1/2 of tomatoes. Mix it together. And then if they drink or eat the DND as a dinner, they should remove the injection, insulin injection. No, 0, not 10, 0. Just one time, and then insulin without insulin injection, and then postprandial VG is how much it'll be? Less than 140. Their blood glucose level was nearly more than 250 or 300, even with the insulin injections every day, 4 times a day. But they, and then they try to twice a day. Okay, why not? Okay, in the morning and in the evening, twice. Okay, 10, 10, 10, 30 units of 3 hours, and then 30 units of 24 hours. Okay, why not? And then in the morning, with just DND, okay, and then no injection, normalized after 2 hours. And then less than a week, the data showed a little bit fluctuated in the morning, and then during the lunch hour, and then getting more than 180 or 200, less than 200. But it's getting lower, and before the dinner, actually alternative dinner, and then nearly 130 something. And then with DND, it's getting a little bit higher, and 1 hour, 170, 180, and then 2 hours, and then 140 or 130. What I recommend to the patients, okay, should be at least 170, because to avoid the hypoglycemia at night. If they are without the insulin injection, if their VG level is nearly 130 or 140, and then the beginning stage of diabetic patients with DND, they experience the hypoglycemia nearly at dawn, at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. So I recommend to have the nearly 170 or 180 after drinking DND. But 50 gram, maybe you will think of, oh, that's very lighter for the as a meal. No, it's dried one. So inside the stomach, it is well enough. So what do you say? Enough, full enough, saturated, full enough. So they didn't feel they're hungry. So like that way, maybe if the patient eating the DND as supplementary, maybe a month, nearly 2/3 of the insulin injection gone. Even the 24 hours insulin, 30, maximum will be 15. And then the 10, 10, 10 every meal, and then just 0, 10 or 0, 7, 0 with the DND. So like this way, their C-peptide level started 0.02 or 0.19, and they started. But the with maybe 5 or 6 months, their C-peptide level will be fluctuating. And then all of a sudden, higher, maybe 1.4 or 1.5. And then getting fluctuated like this, and then 1 year later, and then more than C-peptide is more than 1 or 1.5, like that way. And then insulin secretion, when we check the serum, normalized. And then HbA1c level started from 16 or 17, but the average, the reduction rate will be 1.2 through 1.4 HbA1c level per month. So nearly after a year, the HbA1c level is lower the 6%. So this is the case reports about the postprandial. You see, those males, 63 years old, and PP2 it was 380, and FBG 280. HbA1c is nearly 10. But just this is the day 1 to just for 5 days. You see, study 380, but with DMD is 204. Average more than 40% reduction. And then the you see here, and the FBG 280, and then to 137, nearly getting normalized. And the case 2, this one is 332 and 284, HB 12. You see the reduction. Like this is the for the T2DM because the patients with the doctors at the hospital hospitalized for a week or 4 days or 5 days a week, and then 10 days and a month, 3 months, 6 months, and but less than 6 months. Every T2DM patient, their complications, they didn't feel any pains of the neuropathy. So we got those data at the hospitals. So this one is the day 4. So 4 through 60 days. Those are groups of 60 days, 2 months. And then every data shows the more than 30 through 40 reduction blood glucose level from the T2DM. But T2DM is compared to the T1DM very simple in our DND because just took 6 months. But for the T1DM patients, nearly took 1.5 years. So their C-peptide level fluctuated after 6 or 7 months, and then 1 year, and every medication or their injection or even the insulin pump should be gone. And then with the normal life, with DND, without medication, and then insulin pump or the insulin injection, whatever types of insulins, it doesn't matter. And then here we have the case 3. This one is 8 days. He started from 487, but you see, 122. Here 481, 102. Just 8 days. So nearly 50% or 69% of reduction of FBG and PP2. And this is the worst case. You see the insulin injection, 100 units for T2DM. But it's just 10 days, 80 units gone. And then I didn't ask to remove the insulin unit. He decided. You know why? He felt at night hypoglycemia because enough. His insulin injection was 100, but just with 20 units is sufficient for him. So his body knew about the feeling, kind of hypoglycemia. So he decided to remove the insulins. So I can say that D&D maybe some years later here and there. In Korea, so many patients are interested in, and then so many patients are really eating the D&D, and then reduction of HbA1c level, and then fasting, even the recovery of the C-peptide level, and then it was unthinkable for the T1DM to normalize the insulin secretion. But 1 year later, their C-peptide level normalized, insulin secretion is getting normalized. So without any medications for the T2DM, and then insulin injections for T1DM is getting normalized. And then with the recovery of their health, and then their diet is going routine way of lifestyle. Even the flour or the bread, that's okay. So I can say some years later, here and there, and maybe D&D will be quite popular to the diabetic patients. So the HbA1c reduction level average was reduced 1.2% through 1.4 for the T1DM, because their T1DM level is so high. It is more than 15 or 16, 17, and then their FBC and then PP2 is really high, nearly 700, 800. So T1DM normalized, C-peptide, we can say even the anti-GAD is getting normalized. For T1DM patients, anti-GAD AB level was 48%, but gradually decreased the anti-GAD to 18, 10, 5, like that way. So you see the TG level is 580. One of our patients, his TG level was 1,140. Can you imagine? More than 1,000 of TG level. What just took less than three months to get into the 200, below 200. And then, so making sure the removal of insulin pump and injection within less than 2 years. So every complications, retinopathy, neuropathy, urination or edema, or hypoglycemia or hemiparalysis are gone. So this one will be published at the Journal of Food Science and Nutrition, maybe this month or next month. And then the clinical case reports will be added up in the Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, November this year. So I was invited to that conference. So more T1DM patient case will be added up. So I think D&D is it'll be good for the patients. So as a mission, D&D, I define no more suffering from diabetes and their complications. Thank you. Yes?
What is the mechanism of regeneration with the ND?
As you see the biomarkers, and then I think I started this research, and the medical side will be follow those research more.
What did stimulate you to take this research undertaking? I mean, how are you interested in using this data?
I didn't start just for functioning of human beings, especially the diabetes. I just started to use as a food supplement for sustainable protein. But in doing so, people taste the edible insects as the side dishes of drinking alcohol. Actually, in Korea, so many adults are drinking alcohol. So to alleviate, to relieve the symptoms of hangover in the morning. It was really good to recover the hangover as a solution. So they tasted the crickets. The crickets really, the taste is like shrimp, dried shrimp. So not that awkward. A little bit, the flavor is better. So they taste it like that. And then some of the my friends and the acquaintances, they got diabetes, T2DM. And then 2-3 months later, here and there, the people told me, confessed me, oh, actually I got the diabetes. But with the regular eating the crickets, and then the diabetes gone. So at the hospital, through the serum, and then low level of blood glucose level. So that's why that's the beginning of studying the diabetes at the hospital.
This information and findings, case reports, these are not the prospective research or study.
Actually, I met a guy, medical diabetologist, last year in Helsinki at the meeting, and an Indian, Dr. Rajesh Jain. Dr. Jain, he tested DND in India, in his hospital with his patients. So the clinical case in India and in USA and in Korea. So actually those data are from the 100 patients in Korea. So maybe it will be more and more people. The patients will be participating in our DND trials.
It reminds me of insected eating lizards regenerating their tails.
In the field?
Somewhat it reminds me of insected eating lizards regenerating
Lizards.
regenerating their tails.
Yeah.
There must be something. But have yours or any other study have identified the exact molecule or the molecules? Or
Molecules?
The chemical
have
structure.
exact molecule. Have you or yours or any other study have identified the exact molecule?
Yeah.
Or
I got 15 patents, domestic and international patents for the, actually when I studied the diabetes, I got international patent for the hair growth and then hair loss prevention. And then that is the mainly focused on the nitric oxide. You see, nitric oxide. So with those arginine inside the crickets, I applied for the liver because so many friends and the patients were suffering from the liver state, and then they are getting recovered. So that's why we tested it at the hospital, the liver, how to recover, why. So that's why the liver patent and the nitric oxide patent and the hair, and then nearly 15 patents. So that was the starting point of the why I deeply interested in the diabetes.
So this plant grows in Korea. The plant
Which
you
one?
use, the plant.
Yeah.
It's
The sanitation is under
It's
the
there in
guidelines
Korea.
of Korean FDA.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
So actually, with something like that, gives a good indications. They take it in phytochemistry, and they analyze the active ingredient inside this plant.
Right.
In order to know what a plant have a lot of other things. So if you want to get good result, you have to identify the one that do this effect and not the whole. You can't say this or that. You have to identify it and analyze it.
Okay.
Can I comment, please?
Yeah.
First of all, the exact same results have been replicated by caloric restriction. The exact same, the STZ model has been proven to reverse diabetes and to induce what is known as neurogenin 3 induced beta cell regeneration.
Yeah.
This was caused by caloric restriction. Your DND probably has a very low caloric value, and it's
Low cap.
are you giving it as a supplement or as a total replacement for the diet? Because if your patients are not eating anything but DND, this effect can exactly be replicated by intermittent fasting. Just not giving them any food for a few days, for 5 days, you will get the exact same result. And the STZ, it's published. There's like a 100 paper published on intermittent fasting, neurogenin 3 induced beta cell regeneration, exactly the same effect on an STZ model.
Yeah. So it was my curiosity when I applied to the T1DL patient especially, because they are children, adolescents. So the 3 or so, 7 years old. But with the DND, if they are feeling hungry more than a year, and then it's gonna be killed. So, but their weight is getting high. 20 kilogram, 21 kilogram, 25 kilogram. So, and then their height, they are maybe 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters. They are getting, their height is getting higher, and then the body weight is getting higher. Nutritionally,
What is the effect on IGF-1 of DND? What's the effect of insulin-like growth factor 1 on DND? Because I wouldn't give it to children.
Oh, no. It is the food supplement, not for the drugs. It is kind of food. So 50 grams is quite enough for the even the adults as a meal. And then nutritionally, it is not the lower carbohydrate. Carbo is nearly 30%, and the protein is
But what's the total calories?
Calorie is it is up to his calories nearly more than 250 calories for 50 grams. But if you add up the tomato or the milk, but I asked the water, just not cold one, just water and then 50 grams of DND is 250 average. But milk and the tomato is more than 420 calories. So it's quite enough for, especially for T2D.
That's the same caloric number that was in the study of caloric restriction in GN3 promoting the regeneration of beta cells in STZ models. It's probably the caloric restriction that does all this.
But yeah. So the real interesting is for regenerate the beta cells after 1.5 years, and then their condition, healthy condition, is quite good, really good, better than the normal people, and then their hair thickness is getting better, and then their skin, because the protein does. Because the ingredients of the DND, it contains nearly 20 anti-diabetes factors in DND. So we analyze about the nutrition. So even if the DND is good and beneficial for the diabetes patients, and then don't grab the crickets in the street, it's not good for us.
So how do you make it edible for the person to eat?
I'm sorry?
How do you make it edible for the person to come and eat it?
Yeah, that is under the guidelines of American FDA and the Korean FDA. It's very strict. The guidelines are very strict.
No, I mean, you dissolve it in water, drink it, or do you cook it, or what?
Yeah, it is kind of powder, but the sanitation is first, and then wash it 3 times at least. That's a guideline, and then we have to boil it maybe less than 100 Celsius degrees, and then into the refrigerator, and then after we grind it, and then the sterilizer, you see, not what do you say, sterilizer.
Sterilize it?
Yeah, yeah. And then after that, we can eat as food. So the edible insects are declared some of the developed countries, European countries and North American countries, Japan, Korea. So many sectors of the world, they are declared as food, very safe and very nutritional.
Yes,
So-
it could be, but usually children like to eat something that tastes nice.
So that's why we into the bread. If I grind it and as powder, nobody knew that.
Yeah. You just spread it on the bread.
Yeah, bread and cookies,
Uh-huh.
whatever.
So it's powder and you put it on ordinary
They didn't
food.
know. Even the soup, the flavor is very.
So
good.
they're eating all type of foods and this is spread on it.
Every type of food we can make.
It's available in the market.
Yeah.
Have you any sample of J&D?
Here,
With you?
not today, but especially those J&Ds for the patients in Korea. So they are they're waiting in line.
I heard of FDA approving certain amount of insects, ignoring certain amount of insects in the grains, cereals.
Yeah.
I heard of this news. FDA ignoring certain amount of insects as impurities in the cereals, in the grains.
Yeah. Cereal, that's really good. That's very good choice for the children in the morning. So I think so many sectors we can apply as food, the crickets, especially for the patients and till the end. So
And
we
you
generate-
have this kind of explanation that this is highly in protein,
Yeah.
and this protein is the source of the.
Yeah, actually, the crickets contains nearly 70% of its body protein.
And
70. If we mix it together, and then the D&D contains nearly more than 30% of carbohydrates. People say, hey, that's nearly nothing, no carbohydrates. No, we have more than 30. Enough carbohydrates, enough proteins, enough unsaturated fat, and especially the magnesium and zinc and the vitamin B groups. And then, what's that? Chromium. That's all the factors for affecting the diabetes. So it contains a lot.
Well, it could be either of that because chromium as well has this effect on the beta cells. It is very good for the beta cells, and it might let it function again. Chromium, you know, it's in the literature.
Yeah.
It might be chromium, it might be a magnesium, it might be anything. So you have to isolate each one alone, and then you just make your research with and see whichever is the result. Not all of them.
Yeah. Compared to the grasshoppers, the crickets are very. I can say grasshopper or lotus are male. But the crickets very soft, the skin. So I can say the woman. That means crickets, everything we can take. Everything, even the legs and the wings, very soft. The kitten, the leg and the wings. But the grasshoppers and the lotus, what do you call them? We cannot, because if we take nearly 50 grams in the diet, cannot digest it inside the stomach. But the crickets are very soft, so no problem inside the stomach. So very good for our health.
Thank you so much for this interesting topic. Next, I'd like to ask yourself to